In 1954, a businessman arrived at Haneda Airport in Tokyo with a passport from Taured, a country that doesn't exist. Was he a traveler from another dimension, or just a small-time fraudster trying to sneak into the country? In today's episode, we will look into the mysterious man from Taured. On a hot summer day in July 1954, a man arrived at Haneda Airport in Tokyo. For all intents and purposes, he was perfectly unremarkable, Caucasian, bearded, wearing a suit. He was said to have spoken French. He also knew a fair bit of Japanese. Nothing out of the ordinary. That is until the man handed over his passport. The passport appeared legitimate, but with one oddity: it was issued in the country of Taured. As far as the immigration officers at Haneda Airport were aware, Taured was not a country that existed anywhere on Earth. When they confronted the man about the falsehood, however, he grew frustrated. He insisted to them that Taured did exist and had for nearly 1,000 years. Believing this strange man may have been a criminal, Japanese officers put him up at a nearby hotel for the night while they conducted a more thorough investigation. 2 guards were stationed outside the man's room to make sure he did not escape, yet when the next morning came, and officers went to speak with the man, they were shocked to find that he had vanished without a trace. To some, the story of the Taured man, as he came to be known, serves as evidence that there are indeed universes parallel to our own, as the man himself may have accidentally slipped into our dimension, one where Taured never existed. Others have suggested the entire story is nothing more than a work of fiction. Could it be possible that the man was telling the truth? When presented with a map and asked to point out the country, the man was said to have pointed to Andorra, a small country located between Spain and France. The man soon became angry and confused. Why was his home country of Taured not listed on this map? This was where it should be, and where it had been for 1,000 years. The man was also said to have had currency from several European countries on his person, and stamps from numerous airports around the globe. He had even visited Tokyo on several previous occasions. Yet, the company he claimed to work for had never heard of him, nor had the hotel he allegedly had a reservation at were the company officials in Tokyo he was supposed to be meeting with. Despite this, the man produced various documents that supported his story. Then, of course, there was the man's disappearance from his hotel room. The room was several floors up and lacked a balcony. The police even determined that the man could not have escaped via the windows, and the guards never saw the man leave. These circumstances have led many to the conclusion that the man had accidentally crossed into our dimension from a parallel one. In this parallel universe, they say, Taured really did exist, and the man was telling the truth. His disappearance is often attributed to him sliding back into his own universe, again seemingly without any intention or explanation. As exciting as the idea of a visitor from another dimension can be, the unfortunate reality is that the Taured man was nothing more than a simple fraudster. There is a considerable amount of evidence to suggest that the true identity of the man from Taured was John Allen Zegras, who was arrested in Tokyo in 1960 for trying to cash phony checks after using a false passport to get into the country. Zegras' passport was seemingly issued in the city of Tamanrasset, the capital of the state of Taured, which Zegras claimed was an independent state of roughly 2 million people south of the Sahara. The Vancouver-based newspaper, The Province, reported, Mr. Zegras wanted to travel round the world. To impress officials, he invented a nation, a capital, a people, and a language. All these he recorded on a passport which he made himself. According to the report, Zegras was able to travel all across the world successfully, using this fake passport, particularly across regions of the Middle East. When people doubted his documentation, he invited them to read a small proclamation stamped beneath the national symbol of Taured, which read, Rch ubwy aktra negasi habesi truap tarapa. This saying means nothing in any language. It wasn't until Zegras tried to visit Tokyo that his passport was finally thoroughly scrutinized, and his story didn't hold up. Japanese officials studied maps, saw that there was no state of Taured, and began taking steps to prosecute Zegras. According to reports, Zegras attempted suicide shortly after being sentenced to 1 year of imprisonment by the Tokyo District Court on charges of illegal entry and fraud. As it turns out, Zegras never actually spent any time in prison. By the time all was said and done, the number of days he'd already spent in detention outweighed his sentence, and so he was released on time served. As John Allen Zegras faded into obscurity, his story lived on, transforming from the tale of a fraudster traveling across the world into the urban legend of the man from Taured, an extra-dimensional human existing in our universe for but a brief moment before disappearing, as if he had never been here at all.